quest for truth is an adventurous one if approached in that fashion. Trials and tribulations await. Walls that social normality had placed before you block the light of realism from shining through. The tedious process of chipping away at the walls lets streams of light peek through. A light so bright it singes the skin to the degree one has to reconstruct the wall to block it. In short, you can't handle the truth alone. But through the networking of information, together we can rise above the wall before you, filtering the light to a tolerable level.
What's up, brothers and sisters? Truth is in adorners of the tinfoil hat, because we don't believe in magic bullets or buildings that fall like that. I am Kenneth Webb, a.k.a.
ChangeDaChannel.
And my co-host,
the man, the myth, the legend,
Scott Lopez. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, and before we get on into the show, somebody had a birthday yesterday. Who was that? Oh, man.
Yep.
Happy birthday, everybody out there in the Wookiee Cave and out there listening. Give a big happy birthday to Scott Lopez, man.
Yep. Illuminati number 33. Uh-oh.
Oh, man. That's the number. That's the number. We got a very special show for you tonight. And, but we're going to have Jakari Jackson come on. He's an InfoWars reporter, does the nightly news out there and other things, an activist. He's running late tonight, so he will be joining us shortly. But man, I tell you, I missed today, the news today and everything. And when I do that, I'm like, I know I missed something. So I go over because I was pretty busy most of the day. And just this whole presidential election. I mean, come on, man. This thing is just getting ridiculous. Who do you think, Scott? I mean, really, who do you think is going to end up the president of the United States?
I actually, for a while, I didn't think he had a chance, but I really think that Trump has a really strong chance of actually getting it.
You think Hillary's going to let him get away with that?
Oh no, she's gonna play all her dirty little tricks, and I mean, the Clintons are the dirtiest of the dirty, so there's gonna be all kinds of shenanigans going on. But she could get indicted. I mean, I know that there's talk of that. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but she got a lot of problems, I think, that Trump could capitalize upon. And so I actually think he has a chance of doing it. I mean, he's just blowing everybody out, in the polls as far as, the GOP. I mean, he's just, he's just wiping the floor with everybody. So,
she's going to be dirty.
Oh yeah. Oh, straight up.
Right,
she's going to be real dirty.
Right before the primaries even got started, she already had 300 and some super delegates. Already had that. It's like, no, she ain't planning on losing this one. She's planning on getting in. And I mean, she's going to be cheating, scheming and scamming, plotting and planning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week till she gets there. I'm just wondering what she's going to do. But I was sitting earlier today, I was sitting back, like I said, I had a bunch of work to do. So I was sitting there playing it over in my head, the different scenarios of like a Trump as president in the White House, and Hillary Clinton presidency. Man, can you just imagine? I mean, she would do a lot of stuff that Obama did, a continuation of Obama. But man, she would have to prove herself. So she would. Oh man, I can't even imagine what it would be like. It'd be bad. It would be all bad.
Oh, it would be absolutely terrible. I mean,
what do you think? The first thing that she would do.
Oh man, I don't even know. Man, gun control would be top of the agenda. This whole politically correct thing with safe spaces and not being able to say certain things, and you're going to be labeled this and that if you criticize anybody for anything. Man. Oh man, it'll be absolutely horrible if she got in there. Absolutely terrible. And, it really wouldn't be any much better if Bernie got in there either. You know,
Yeah, we're
she's
gonna go
actually
further
having
in
to,
depth.
she's actually, yeah, she's, you know, pandering to like the even more extreme leftist views that, trying to tap into Bernie's crowd. And, it's like, wow, it's just crazy. It's going to be absolutely insane.
The thing it strikes me pretty strange about the burn is most of the people that really like him, his devout followers, are young kids, and he's an old timer, old coot, and it just blows me away. It's like, wow.
He's like the socialist version of Ron Paul,
Right.
He's whipped up that kind of a frenzy on the left,
Yeah. With him or Hillary, we're going to be way, way in debt. Way further in depth, no doubt. But, I'm sitting there trying to think, okay, what would the Trump White House be? What would the presidency be? What would happen? And I'm like, I have no form of reference. The only thing that I could possibly think of is just his campaign promises, the thing, which, he recently talking about releasing those documents on 9/11. I thought that was really interesting, to release them. He said, I will show you who knocked down the buildings and all of that. I thought that was pretty cool. He wants to audit the Federal Reserve. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, whether he does it or not, like I said, I have no form of reference, so they're just campaign promises. So I tried to picture it, and I'm like, man, what would he? It's weird. It's very strange to picture Trump in that position.
Yeah, because he's not a career politician, so you have no history to reference on if he's actually, kept his word on anything that he's done. Because he's this is actually his first time actually doing anything to be a politician. So it's weird. He's like a wild card, and you don't know what he's gonna do. And for anybody to really, it's all speculation on what people would think he's going to do. You just got to go by with what he says, and
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. It's just, I guess, seeing him on the, on his, what was that Apprentice show he had? Seeing him like that, and then seeing him, speak and everything. Just campaigning and everything. It's just like it's weird, just strange to imagine. You don't really know what to expect, really, once he gets in and actually, tries to do some of those types of things that he wants to do. And I also am curious in his White House who he would appoint to all these, key positions. That's always a telltale, about, what's going on. Is like, who is he going to appoint as chief of staff, and all of that. It'd be very interesting to see that. But, I think is he going to appoint establishment, conservative neocons to his positions, or is he just going to think completely outside of the box and appoint people that, really aren't even within the establishment? Yeah, but somebody that people hadn't really heard of, but, good business people are good in whatever area that he appoints them to. It'll be interesting. It's like I see a lot of people are like, man, don't let Trump fool you. Don't let Trump fool you. First off, he ain't gonna fool me, okay? Because I always have that side of me that's going like, I agree with this, and that he talks about. And I'm sitting there going like, well, and he get more and more adds on to it. And I'm like, wow, man. It's like, is they trying to fool me? We talked about this yesterday, me and you, about how they, how it's like, is he real? Is this guy real? Like, I don't agree with everything, but a lot of stuff. I mean, really, the tax is, the whole thing with the IRS, the tax code that he has, his tax plan, I thought was right off the bat was pretty good. But like I said, I guess it'll go back to because I think he's going to get in unless Hillary, swindles her way in, which wouldn't surprise me either. But I think if not, he's gonna win the White House, and he's gonna be the next president. And then when he starts appointing people and all of that, we'll actually see. And if he's messing up, I'm gonna get him. So, I ain't gonna.
Exactly.
I get so sick of hearing about people giving me gump about messing with Hillary. Always just talking so much crap. It just makes me sick. Every time I put up a video, it's like,
why you gotta mess with Hillary? Why you keep messing with her? Leave her alone.
I'm like, man, come on, get out of my face with that. And God, I can't stand it. It's like, and she's out there talking about that America's not ready for a woman. So she's going to use that excuse. If she loses, America's just not ready for a woman to be president. Or, if she does win and gets in, ever how, she ain't going to be able to do anything. You ain't going to be able to talk. Anything videos we put up about it, you're like, you just can't handle a woman in charge. And it's just like, oh no, not again. I mean,
they'll just flip it to if you just like Obama, if you question any of his policies or anything like that, it makes you a racist. So when she gets in there, any criticism they'll say, oh, you're a sexist. You don't like that there's a woman president, and that'll be the way that they try to shut you down.
Exactly. And she's been just really getting on my nerves more than usual. I guess it's because last week I got into it with a bunch of people that were riding me about her and how great she was, and we needed a woman president, and how I was a male chauvinist pig, and all of that. And I was like, oh man, you know what? I got something for you, just lit them up, it's like, wow, all of these things she's done, all these lies she's told, it's a fact. She says she didn't send any, top secret information or anything like that through her emails, and she did. Absolutely, positively did. I think she should be in jail. If it was me, I wouldn't, we would be gone,
Oh, straight up. I mean, just the act of her using a private server was like massively criminal, not using official, government secured servers. That's a whole thing with national security. And then, and then the way she, blows it off and just jokes about it, when they asked her, did you wipe emails did you wipe your server? And she's like, what, with a cloth? I was like, oh man, just the blatant,
Yeah, she's just lying. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not only did she do it, but then she lies about it. Talking about the whole Obama crew, just have done nothing but lie. Like, the Benghazi thing. Everybody says, we're so sick of hearing about Benghazi, and like they, the first thing that they said, she said it herself, that was over the video, a YouTube video. That's what that whole thing happened over. And then they try to turn around and say, oh, I didn't say that. And we never said that. And then she did. It's like, man, it's insane. So, I mean, you know what time it is, don't you? Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
You know what time it is. It's time for Clown of the Week. Oh man, and because I had to deal with these people all last week, guess who is the clown of the week? I had to do it. You had yours, Scotty. Who was your clown of the week?
My clown of the week was Jeb Bush. Because he is a clown. Because he is a clown. Who blows all that money and fails like that, I guess he's the one child that got left behind.
Oh, yeah. Well, mine had to go to our buddy, Hillary, give me the cash, Clinton.
Hello,
Straight up clown.
I'm back. The sky will open, the light will come down, celestial choirs will be singing.
We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt. We struggled to, piece together the resources for mortgages for houses.
Also comments about we're not truly well off.
Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband.
Mrs. Clinton called Monica Lewinsky a narcissistic Looney Tune.
I have this Congress, which he passed, which forever destroyed my faith in politics.
Tired of all those whiny women, and she needs Packwood on health care.
These are difficult, hard choices. Hard choices, hard choices, hard choices, hard choices, hard choices. I remember landing under sniper fire.
You don't believe that he's a Muslim?
No, why would I? There's no, there is nothing to base that on, as far as I know.
What in my background equips me to deal with evil and bad men?
Reimagining impact requires leaders who will reimagine. This is what we call smart power.
You famously press the reset button.
We want to reset our relationship.
Are you embarrassed by that now, that gesture?
No, I thought it was a brilliant stroke. You think we got it?
You get it wrong.
I got it wrong. Showing respect even for one's enemies, empathize with their perspective and point of view.
I am sick and tired of people who say that if you debate and you disagree with this administration, somehow you're not patriotic.
We had 4 dead Americans. We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
Oh man, there it was. The old job buddy. Let me go over here and add Jakari. Yes, now see if we can get him on.
Cool.
Uh-oh. Add to the call. Oh, it's not adding here. Dang. Come on now. Oh, it's saying he's offline, but I just got the contact from the Skype. So hopefully he'll be back on momentarily. Oops. What happened there? Okay, we're having technical difficulties, but anyhow, I had to give her Clown of the Week. I wanted to give Obama. Man. I want to give it to Obama like every week. Every single week I want.
Yeah, there's like a group of people that could just get Clown of the Week like consistently.
Back when I did my old show and everything, when I did it, it was just like a couple of weeks in a row. It's like Obama again, Obama. He's riding his time out now. I mean, he really is. He's riding his time out. He's going to make some moves, and it's going to be very interesting to see what he does.
Exactly. There's nothing he has to worry about, so he can just he can go hog wild and do whatever he wants to do until he's gone,
Exactly. It's scary too because everybody is paying attention more to the primaries and all of that and all of the stuff going on with that, and they're really not paying much attention to that turd, man. And that's when he's probably just crafting up all kinds of stuff. It's like, man, spending up all our money too. He's just spending it up while he can. Just spend it left and right. Vacation, eating good, living high on the hog, no doubt.
Yep. I was just talking about this the other day. That he blowing all that money. They're just gonna go and just jet set around, do whatever. He's just kicking back. He just waiting to get out.
I wonder who he's going to pardon. That's been on my mind. After he won the second election and everything, I was wondering, like, who is he going to pardon? Because I always wondered that about the presidents. When they get right before they get out, they do a bunch of pardons, and that's generally the ones that they're not going to really answer any questions about. It's going to be their buddies, their friends, something, crazy. I wonder who he's going to pardon. He probably pardon Hillary or some crap.
Oh man. That
But
would
they
be
should.
so
She should be arrested. I mean, and it's nothing to do with anything else except for she broke the law and she lied. Period. And she lied about it. So it's like, I don't understand why.
I mean, there's enough evidence there that they could just go and, handcuff her and take her in. I mean,
right.
Everybody can see it. You don't have to be a professional, you don't have to be a law enforcement or anything like that. Everybody can see it. It's just crazy how she can just get away with that. And she's constantly gotten away with stuff. The Clintons have constantly got away with that since Bill was governor of Arkansas,
Man, it made me think of envisioning a Hillary White House, because Bill would be the first man, and he wants that position.
Oh man,
riding high on the hog again up there in the White House, man.
He just wants to be back in there. He don't even not even as president. He just wants to be back in there, living the cushy life up there in the White House, and probably remembering all his, reminiscing about his Monica Lewinsky expeditions over there in the Oval Office, and yeah.
Oh man, can you imagine? But if he had at least 4 more years in there, and he wasn't the president, he's just the first man. I mean, because they would set a new precedence, because there's never been a first man. So what would he do? I mean, he's not going to do the normal things that the first lady would do. I mean, he might, but I wouldn't think that he's going to redecorate, and Bill's going to fool around with that. And I just don't see him doing that. Maybe he will.
Over there putting Christmas trees up and
no. Oh man, he'd be up in there partying. That's what Bill would be doing. He'd just sit back, and you're like, yep. Hillary probably have to kick him out her chair. That's what would end up happening. I'm getting tired of catching you in my office. Get out that chair. It's my chair.
Exactly. Yeah. But Hillary, you don't want to know what I did in that chair with Monica.
And we don't want to know what Obama and Manchild did up in there either. Can you imagine the dark secrets of the White House? Just some of the craziest stuff, I bet you. Going. Have you seen that TV series that comes on? I've seen it on the Hulu, I believe. It's called Scandal, and it's about the White House. And it's just totally this one lady. All she does is try to fix the problems of all the politicians when they mess up and do stuff, or they're getting blackmailed and everything. And I'm sitting here. I checked out a couple of the episodes. I was like, man, I could imagine, that really going on. I could really see that. Oh, this guy accidentally,
like you have a person that does like damage control and all that.
Right. This guy accidentally killed this woman or killed his wife or something like that. They come in for the police and clean it up and make it look like an accident and all of that stuff. I could totally see it going down like that. But now Trump, back to that. We'll get off of this topic, but just picturing, Trump in the White House, what would he do? Because he would have to do it up. Like we were talking about this yesterday too. He'd probably put Trump on the side, build it, extend the White House up about 50 stories or something. Trump on the side of it.
Put a helipad on top of it, and
oh yeah, he paid for it too. A helipad, yeah,
exactly.
Man, oh man, I can't even see what did your clown of the week? He spent how much money he spent just to drop out? I mean, that's just
man, he spent. I don't even know how much Jeb spent. I want to say like close to 10 million or something, but
wow. I mean, can you imagine all those people that donated money to him?
Yeah, just through. You might as well just get a shovel and just scoop it all into your fireplace,
This entire the primaries and the presidential election, because we haven't even got into that yet. This whole thing, billions and billions and billions of dollars. I think it's absolutely absurd and ridiculous that much money is spent, and that has to be spent. Else you're not even going to know who these, the people that don't have the money to be able to get airtime and TV commercials and all of that stuff. you don't even know who they are. You're not even going to know their names. It costs money. And that's why I think it's just all really screwed up. I think they should have something where each person who wants to run gets a certain amount, a certain amount of money. That's it. That's all you get. The news, you shouldn't have to pay the news to have airtime. I mean, what Trump doesn't, he gets it anyway. He gets it for free anyhow, really. Or he wasn't doing any commercials before. Like he just, because they were giving him enough airtime as it was. He didn't have to run any kind of pieces and stuff. But, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, all Trump has to do is go on Twitter and talk some smack, and then they'll be talking about it on the news for like 2 days, and then,
I remember people.
And that's the thing I actually do like about Trump is that he's bankrolling his own thing. He's not dependent on super PACs, and he's not paid off by anybody. He's not in anyone's pocket. He's just doing it himself.
Right. We're getting ready to get the breaks upon us right now. So I'm going to try to get Jakari Jackson and get hooked up with him. And so we got 44 seconds. I always forget about these bumpers. When they come in, I think it's at the 30-second mark. It comes in on here. Still getting used to
either 30-second or 15. So.
Right, I'm trying to get the dust off me, people. So be patient, and we'll get it going, and we will catch you on the other side of the break. Oh yeah.
Truth Frequency Radio is your number one source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We are proud to bring you cutting-edge programs like The Rundown Live with Mike and Kristen, Waking Up the Masses with Robert Bruce, The Covert Report with Susan Lindauer, Your DIY Health with Jim Ram, Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye, The Christopher Everard Show, Real Politics with Professor James Tracy, Agent for Truth with Joe Bannister, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any computer, mobile device, or from any telephone by dialing 832-225-5308, or call into your favorite show toll-free at 866-37-TRUTH. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media 24 hours a day. Truth Frequency Radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Hey everyone, it's Mark Sargent from Strange World, broadcasting live every Saturday evening, 8 to 10 Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Strange World covers a wide range of topics, from enclosed world theory to lunar waves to the end of the world in film. It's basically doomsday with a silver lining. With my co-host Jonathan, we take an optimistic approach to all things conspiracy and promote confidence, hope, and humor whenever possible. If there's a topic you want us to cover or guest you would like to see interviewed, please email msargent23@comcast.net. So please join us and tell your friends about Truth Frequency Radio, the leader in real radio programming, bringing you quality, cutting-edge broadcasts from around the world.
Visualize an infinite hologram of unconditional love above your head. This is a holographic sphere with the flower of life pattern infinitely expanding inwardly to infinity.
The all-new Sacred Geometry Shop has arrived, featuring 8 of the world's most renowned sacred geometry and visionary artists. The mission of SGS is to embed sacred geometry art, frequencies, and equations into all conventional products in order to raise the vibration and help heal one's own individual life. Products include art, canvas prints, skateboards, Galaxy and iPhone cases, clothing, hats, jewelry, home decor, yoga mats, and a new sacred geometry skincare line. Enter the word STARSEED for an additional 25% discount. Log on today to sacredgeometryshop.com and feel the vibration.
Radio Ranch with Robert Sales. Monday through Friday on Truth Frequency Radio.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Welcome back. And finally, we got our special guest, Jakari Jackson, with us tonight. And he's having a little Skype problems. And I've been having Skype problems, too. So how you doing, brother?
I'm good, Ken. Definitely appreciate you guys inviting me on. Go ahead and apologize to you and your viewers for being late. I was telling Ken off the air that I was trying to get a hold of you guys on the computer, but I guess there's some Skype updates, so I just had to pull out my phone and talk to you guys on that. But I definitely appreciate you guys inviting me on the show.
Right on. Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, like, man, my Skype's been acting up. I think I have to do an update on mine as well. It's pretty jinky. I wish you could find something a little bit better than Skype, but you know. So how you doing?
Oh man, I'm good now. I'm sweating trying to figure out this computer stuff, but no, everything's good now. I've just settled in, and I've been enjoying the show, and even the guys that were on you before that, Kriston and the other hosts there, they all doing a great job out there.
Right on. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get in because I know you only had so much time tonight and everything. So I have a ton of stuff I want to answer. So there's not going to be enough time. But anyhow,
no, I'll say if you guys got the time, I'll try to stay on a little bit late with you because I know I was late getting here.
Oh, okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off. Is a lot of people, who are in the alternative media and everything in the movement and out there listening, you never get the background stories of the people you listen to a lot because they're more doing the analysis and the breakdown of the news and everything. So I wanted to start off by, getting some background, the first question I got for you is, what got you started on your quest for truth?
I guess it was back in 2006, 2007. I saw this film called Loose Change, and I was a college student at the time, and just seeing something that was a counter narrative. I guess that was my first exposure to, what's referred to as the alternative media, and just seeing information presented in a completely different way. And that really made me start to question some things. And when you look at things such as 9/11, regardless what you think about it, you have to understand, all the people out there listening to this podcast or this broadcast, that there are people on the 9/11 Commission who aren't satisfied with the way that investigation was handled. They feel that their investigation was rushed or they didn't have adequate information at the time. And that alone, in my opinion, is worth taking another look at it. There's a lot of unanswered questions I have. I'm not saying that George Bush stuffed the trade centers with dynamite, but it's just stuff like that. Just the basics of that, I think, deserves another investigation, and that kind of sent me on the quest for answers in other areas as well.
And what year was that?
When I saw it, I'm not sure what year the movie premiered, but I think that was around 2007 when I saw the film.
So that's when kind of what led you into
that's when the spark started, because at that point I really had no reason or interest in questioning official narratives of stories, but just looking at that, like I'm not a physicist or a chemist. I don't know what temperature steel melts at and all that, but my issue with 9/11 isn't the Twin Towers, it's the Pentagon and Building 7. I just don't know how we can debate Twin Towers all day long, but for what reason would Building 7 fall? Just the basics of that, as well as with the Pentagon, when you consider how many times you see from how many different angles the planes hitting the Twin Towers, it's like a new one comes out almost every year. But when you look at the object that hit the Pentagon, and that's why I call it an object, you see 7 or 8 still frames from a very blurry camera of an object contacting the Pentagon, which is to say they'd like you to believe that the Pentagon, one of the most secure above ground structures on planet Earth, has a worse surveillance system than your neighborhood Walmart. And I just can't believe that.
Right. Yeah, I would just wonder why they haven't just made one up, like a fake one or something, because it's like they had all the cameras there, and they can't just show us one picture. I mean, they don't even doctor it. I think there's something behind that, a little deeper, something behind that. I don't believe a plane hit the Pentagon, but I also wonder, like, why won't they at least doctor something? I mean, they had the resources, all the resources, at their disposal. I mean, why would they not show that and show what they did show?
Like, at least try to convince people that a plane hit it, you know what I mean? By, just really weird. And, you've seen pictures of the Pentagon, with the hole in the side, and you can actually see like security cameras on the top of it. Where's the footage from the security cameras on the Pentagon? You know what I mean?
And even that, where's all the debris? All the debris that they had was, light enough to be picked up by hand in most cases. It wasn't, big noticeable, jet engines, flipped over and all that stuff. It was just, little flimsy debris.
And that kind of goes into the second question. I mean, you just kind of answered it, but I was wondering if there's anything else, if there was any other events or discoveries that, just really threw you for a loop. You mean something that blew your mind to the degree that you knew without a shadow of a doubt that the world around you was nothing like you had once thought before?
That was probably the biggest one that just made me, like I said, question the narratives. And I can talk more about, my view of official narratives, having, worked, with Alex for the past few years. But I guess one thing for me, being from Oklahoma, was the Oklahoma City bombing. And it wasn't until many years after I saw Loose Change that a film came out called The Noble Lie. Guys out of Oklahoma, Chris and Holland and other people as well, put that together. And it basically, growing up in Oklahoma, I was in, I want to say, third grade when the bombing happened. And, I really didn't have any reason to question it until many years later. Just certain things around it, the death of guys like Terrence Yankee. And the biggest deal with that official story is my understanding of the Oklahoma bombing official story is that Terry Nichols and Timothy McVeigh never stepped foot inside the building. But that brings up the question of why local news reported there were bombs in the building after the original Ryder truck bomb. And I'm not talking about fragments of the bomb, that like completely other bombs. To which is to say, even if it was somebody operating completely independent of McVeigh and Nichols, there's at least one other person with a plot, to blow up that building. And that was really never looked into that I'm aware of. And, McVeigh and Nichols got their, just desserts, but whoever else, may have been involved, just they had no reason or they had no desire to seek after those people.
Well, yeah, there was multiple bombs. I remember it being confirmed reports of other bombs that they were defusing and all of that. And I'm like, they didn't go in and mistake a Pepsi machine for a bomb and then they took it out of there. They knew exactly that there were other bombs in there. And John Doe number 2, that was always the thing. It's just like he just gave up on that too. It's like, come on, what? All of these things.
Eyewitnesses reporting, people putting what looks like sticks of butter in the building and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a bunch of weird stuff. And as as a child, I had no reason to think twice about it until I got a little bit older. And then when I was open to the idea that maybe the narrative wasn't always the accurate story, it allowed me to see things a little bit of a different way.
When was the first time that you took to the streets doing activism, protesting?
I guess it really wasn't even so much activism, but I remember during Occupy Wall Street, I was just curious as to, what it was all about. And so I just went out, and like I said, it wasn't me personally, but I just went out and engaged the occupiers, the protesters. And I really were trying to learn from them, why they were out there. And various people have various reasons. I've heard very good reasons, very bad reasons for Occupy Wall Street. Right. But the people I had a chance to run into were, very intelligent, very well spoken. One of the guys, actually, I've seen him on multiple shows, talking about Occupy Wall Street. And just to see that kind of grassroots, of course, any type of event can get easily infiltrated and hijacked by powers that be.
but at least the people I had a chance to meet, had very eloquent and intelligent answers. So that was kind of my first experience being educated, by activists in the streets. And, when I first started to talk to people about, various things that I, thought was, interesting in the news cycle, was just, my friends and family, maybe people at church or whatever. And some of the people were receptive to it. Some of the people like, it's just a waste of time. I don't know why you're talking about that, blah, blah, blah. And so, people, I think for people to come to, I guess, what's referred in the alternative media to their awakening when they woke up, it just it has to be a situation of circumstances in your life when you're just ready to receive that type of information. So I know a lot of people, they'll go out and talk to people and they don't get any response. And it's kind of my belief that maybe just those people aren't ready to hear that information. They haven't had those dominoes fall in a way that it can make sense to them for that type of information to be true.
Have you
I was to say it's kind of what happened to me. 9/11 really wasn't like a thing that triggered me, but it was actually more of the Iraq War afterwards. And as the Iraq War started, going on and the insurgency and, everyone could tell that it wasn't, mission accomplished and all that. And then that sort of led me back to 9/11. It was the Iraq War that kind of made me stop and then look at 9/11. And then I was like, oh, okay.
So, why are we going into Iraq if we're told the mastermind lives in Afghanistan?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Just basic questions like that.
I was going to ask you about your peers also. I mean, do your peers, kids you grew up with and everything, you find them generally supportive of what you're doing now, or they think you're crazy?
Well, I wouldn't say we talk about it too much. When I go home, I don't really talk about work. We just go, we hang out, with your old friends and stuff. And in the few instances I have had with people, who want to talk about the information, they have their views in one way or the other. I have a cousin who's very supportive, he's down with the information and, he keeps up, in the alternative streams. And I have other family members who just think it's, a bunch of bull and, fear porn or whatever else. But at the same time, a lot of them watching MSNBC. So it doesn't offend me one way or the other. Just like I said, the information, it has to come to them when they're ready to receive it. And that's a very unfortunate deal. Is I notice a lot of people, they don't have their, quote, awakening until, something bad happens, until it's not the person on the TV it's happening to, it's them. And it may not be, things like, some type of terror attack or whatever. It could just be, a negative instance at the city council meeting or with a police officer or, just something else that, tipped them off to maybe not everything's as prim and perfect as the TV would lead you to believe.
Yeah, it's kind of like my family. We don't really, we didn't talk about it during the Bush era because, they were big Bush supporters. Not my mom or anything, but my uncles and aunts and all of that. But they do watch My Boss. They'll watch it. They love that show. They'll watch it because Obama's in, because they're Republicans and everything. So I guess it's at the time that they're receptive to take in that information. Like when something happens to them, like for instance, they didn't have their president, in office. So therefore they were more receptive to laugh and stuff when the script will get flipped here coming up probably.
Yeah.
Again. But who are some of the people who have been your biggest inspirations through this journey?
I'd probably say my biggest inspiration was probably Luke Radowski of We Are Change. I was a very big fan of, all the things that he was doing and continue to be to this day. Every now and then I run into Luke, various places around the country, kind of running those same circles and get to talk to him and pick his brain a little bit. And it's very impressive to me, what the guy's been able to do with the little bit that he has. And there are other people out there as well that I like. You guys were talking about, or at least earlier in the broadcast, maybe it was on the other show I was listening to, they were talking about Joy Camp. And there's many different people out there. I'd be remiss to try to name them all. And it's not always people who, have a show or some type of broadcast, just various activists I meet, guys like Cody Wilson, he's probably one of the few true anarchists that I've ever met. I'm not personally an anarchist, but that guy takes it seriously, because I meet a lot of anarchists or supposed anarchists in the streets. I'm like, well, if the power grid goes down, you guys aren't going to be able to play your Xbox, and then they think about things in a different way. But this guy, he's real with it. He's saying, he's got the printable gun technology, the dark wallet, and all that stuff. And, I'm not so much technology based like he is, but I respect anybody, even if somebody who's kind of intuitive to what I do. I'm a pro-life guy, but I can respect an abortion supporter going out and giving up their Saturday and calling their legislators trying to get their issue passed. I can respect that, even if I don't agree with it. So just people who really go out there in the streets and just try to, take it to the people, or take it to the politicians. Those are people that I really respect and like to talk to.
Right. Yeah. Luke did open up the door for just, somebody at home wanting to do something, just to grab their camcorder and go out and go out to where people are and, asking them tough questions. And then you've seen it just picked up. It gave people, an inspiration to, like, I can do this. I can go out there. I can do my part and go out there with a camera, and then it spread like crazy.
He completely, revived and like rejuvenized the whole citizen journalist movement, basically.
I agree with that. He, along with guys with, Veritas Project, and I mean, like I said, there's so many other guys. I'm doing them a huge disservice by not listing them, but it's people like that really, in my opinion, make a difference.
Absolutely. And you, like, going out and seeing what, it's something that I did in my younger days. I'm kind of tied down right now, and I'm not able to do it like I used to do it, but that's why I went to Iraq, to go over in video and see what was really going on there. Like, and I've seen you doing reports, on the scene, spot news, like at Ferguson and all of that, just getting out in it and seeing what's going on. That was great, man. You did an awesome job. I was like, wow, hell yeah. It was like the first time I seen you on, out doing the spot news segments, and that was great.
And that's what I was referencing. I was talking a little bit earlier about, makes me question the official stories of some things, because there are some things that happened in Ferguson, Missouri that we got on tape, but if you look in the news cycle, it's no place out there. For example, the first night we were there, I guess Michael Brown was shot on a Saturday or Sunday. We got there on a Tuesday. And initially we got there, we just thought we were going to talk to, some of the local people, see if any eyewitnesses, talk to some of the people that defended their businesses with firearms and so on and so forth. And we get there, and the police officers have the street blocked off from both ends. This is West Florissant in Ferguson, Missouri. And there are people, at the time, a small group of protesters out there, peacefully assembled. And this is one thing I wanted to stress to people. While there was rioting and looting and all that stuff, I'm not trying to downplay that at all, because it definitely did happen. But there's also a lot of peaceful demonstrations that did not make the news cycle, especially when the officers were in the wrong. And that was the case. The first videos we made, myself, Joe Biggs, Josh Owens, when we got out there. Because in the video, you got people peacefully, hands up, don't shoot and all that, in the middle of the street. And the cops are aiming guns at people, putting red dots on their chest. This is on video, and telling them to return to their homes, so they're going to be arrested. And in my humble opinion, the cops were agitating that incident. Now, of course, before that, you had the gas station, all that get burned down. But it's what people need to understand when you see those videos of people, with the pants down and, robbing a liquor store or whatever. If you turn the camera around just 180 degrees, there's a whole crowd of another group who's peacefully assembled on the sidewalk with their hands raised, and not causing any problems. So, and that's what I say when it makes me question, what's in the history books now, because so much of it was, everything the protesters did were right, or everything they did were wrong. There's some gray sides on both angles, and also with the police officers as well. One thing that happened specifically, Al Jazeera was attacked by police officers. They were set up. They were outside the vehicle. They had the lights set up, the camera set up. They were obviously journalists, even if they thought they were citizen journalists. These guys were obviously reporters. And the cops proceeded to shoot tear gas and rubber bullets at them. Now, the official story of that was that they were helping Al Jazeera disassemble their equipment, which is technically true, because they did help them after shooting them with rubber bullets and tear gas. And I personally witnessed that. It wasn't like I was down the street at Starbucks. I was there as that happened. and then had to watch on local news when they lied about what happened in that situation with Al Jazeera. So that's what makes me very leery. If I was not there at that moment, I would have had no idea that happened because the police completely lied about the situation.
Yeah, and that was on video too. I mean, you could see that Al Jazeera had their lights set up, they had their camera on
and
the
they
tripod.
Still lied about it.
And you could see the police just dump on them with tear gas and all that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It's always the case, though. It's always the case. If you're there, you see that. And in the mainstream media, they won't show the good side of protest. They're always going to home in on the bad. And I know a bunch of anarchists also, or supposedly they call themselves anarchists, and doing Black Bloc and all of that during the anti-war protests. And they wanted to do that. They figured that was the only way they could get attention, was doing property damage and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And but it's always the same thing. They end up lying, and we end up missing a lot of the story of what's really going on. So we get this one-sided picture of what's really going on there. And like I said, it's great that people like you and us, we go out and we go and see for ourselves and capture those moments. Else we wouldn't have known anything about that, from the mainstream media. And Al Jazeera would have complained about it, but most people here in the States probably wouldn't even have paid much attention to that either.
Yeah, that's true.
So tell us a little bit about how you became a part of the InfoWars crew.
Well, this was back in 2012. I was a viewer of the show at that time, and I've been watching the show for a few years. And I heard that they're having this contest, send in, kind of reporter contest, send in your demo reel. So I just basically one Saturday afternoon, I just went to a video store and I rented some equipment. And I just went out there and shot a couple reports. And, I wasn't, super smart or anything. I just tried to pick something that I thought would be visually interesting. So they had this, it just so happened they were having this luchador run in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where people dressed up like, wrestlers and stuff, and they just running down the street. So I just went out there and just, asked them man on the street questions of the day. And then I did a report because I knew Alex was a big gun fan from watching the show. So I went out to a gun show, and I just kind of did a man on the street out there. Or I just did a stand-up report out there, and then they did the contest reviews, and the finalists were myself, David Knight, Dan Badandi, and a few other people, David Ortiz and Melissa Melton, a bunch of people at the time. And I was very fortunate to win the contest. So I won the contest, and they offered me a job, as well as David Knight, Badandi, and Melton, and other people as well. So that was the start of my career back in 2000, or the start of my InfoWars career back in 2012. I worked in media previous to that, but I've been there since August 2012 till present.
Wow. Well, I didn't know you won the contest. I did not know that. Wow.
Well, the shining star from that contest is definitely David Knight. I give it to him. He's done an excellent job in the time he's been there.
InfoWars, they've grown leaps and bounds over the last decade. I can imagine you guys just learning so much about broadcast technology, production, the gear, especially the gear and the software, man. Wow. Is there anything that you haven't done yet that, you would like to do or planning to do in the future, whether it's like write a book or producing a documentary or something like that?
A documentary. It's just finding the right thing in the right time. And, because largely what we do is dictated by time and finances. So I have things I'd like to do, but, is it the most financially feasible, because it's a big risk to, let's say, go out to California or whatever for a week shoot, and then I don't have a chance to produce what I thought I was going to get. It's a very risky venture for us. So just trying to find the right circumstances to get the guests together, the subject matter, and then the time just to get it done, because this would be in addition to, all the normal daily stuff I have going on as well. But I have some ideas for some human trafficking stuff I'd like to do. I always want to do something about the drug war, but it's so funny. I was telling Alex this the other day that I wanted to do something about the drug war. And every time I think about it, Kevin Booth makes another video another documentary that's way better than anything I would produce. So I always put it on the back burner. I try to stay away from his stuff because he does excellent stuff, and he's actually one of the influences for me wanting to make a film about the drug war. He does excellent stuff, but definitely, before my time is done, I would like to make a feature-length documentary.
Well, so what's your favorite thing that you do? I mean, whether it's journalism, meeting people, the protesting, spotting news, researching. What is the favorite aspect of the things that you do now?
I really enjoy the hands-on approach. I do a lot of my own editing, not all the stuff like the nightly news. We have a crew that does that as well as the radio show. But I'm starting to do more standalone reports that aren't so much, combating global tyranny as much as just trying to talk about, interesting subjects and interview interesting people. So actually, the YouTube channel I have, it's still an InfoWars new YouTube channel, but it's starting to do some of my more personal reports is InfoWars Director's Cut. And I have one video on there right now where I talked to Cody Wilson, the guy who did the 3D printable gun technology. And I have another one that's going to come out this week about advances in cybernetics. And I had a chance to go out to the Austin Body Hacking Conference. And body hacking is just basically any type of body modification. And I had a chance to talk to a guy who lost his arm in a train accident, and now he has a pretty advanced prosthetic. So,
hey, Jakari, we're getting ready to go to break. We got 30 seconds, and we will continue this on the other side, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Attention. Attention. Do not attempt to adjust your radio. We are in control of it. It is no surprise to anyone listening to this broadcast that the alternative media has been controlled by corporate opportunists for the last decade. The truth you are seeking cannot be found with people who have agreed to use their talk network as a flea market. The mission to wake up humanity is far more important than the profits they hope to gain by diluting your consciousness. As such, you are tasked with shifting the paradigm and sending the message that the minds of independent thinkers like you can no longer be controlled. TFR is the only 100% listener-supported station and the last beacon of unadulterated truth. You too can become part of this media revolution by becoming a TFR supporter today to ensure the truth continues to prevail over corporate greed. Together, we are your protection from deception.
Jacob Frank Leibovich is the mastermind behind a global network of satanic cults. He taught that the creator God was evil. Jacob Frank proclaimed himself as the true Messiah. He vowed never to tell the truth. He rejected every moral law and declared that the only way to a new society was through the total destruction of civilization. Murder, rape, incest, and the drinking of blood were perfectly acceptable actions and rituals. His followers established the Marxist system and have infiltrated Islam and Judaism. He was the Messiah of the Illuminati.
EnigmaTV.com. You're a busy podcaster, not a web designer, but without a professional website to send your guests and listeners to, your podcast will not get the attention it deserves. Having a great website is crucial to the success of your podcast, but it can also be a major headache, not to mention a drain on your wallet. You need a service that's easy to use, gives you a great website, and hosts your podcast files all in one place. You need BlastPod from Podcast Blastoff. Far from just another WordPress platform, BlastPod was built from the ground up by podcasters for podcasters. BlastPod is your all-in-one podcasting solution that gives you the ability to podcast like the pros. Sign up now and get access to your BlastPod website today. Putting the power of podcasting into the hands of the people. PodcastBlastoff.com.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The quest for truth is an adventurous one if approached in that fashion. Trials and tribulations await. Walls that social normality had placed before you block the light of realism from shining through. The tedious process of chipping away at the walls lets streams of light peek through. A light so bright it singes the skin to the degree one has to reconstruct the wall to block it. In short, you can't handle the truth alone. But through the networking of information, together we can rise above the wall before you, filtering the light to a tolerable level. And we are back. I'm Kenneth Webb, a.k.a. ChangeDaChannel. And my co-host, Scott Lopez.
The man, the myth, the
legend. And joining us also is RupertQ. What's going on, brother?
Hello, my friends. Nice to be here.
Now, for you guys out there that don't know Rupert, he actually won the one of the ones who won the, what was it, the State of the Union video contest?
That one was the Obama speech analysis contest where we talked about the San Bernardino shooting speech.
All right on. And our special guest tonight, Jakari Jackson. And
hey, fellas.
And what I wanted to do is, before we get into I wanted to pick your brain about some of the things going on around the world. I wanted to ask you, did you have any advice or suggestion for the listeners out there, who are wanting to get more involved in alternative media?
Well, the best thing you can do is just, get in the game at some point, whether it's, getting a camera and you can go to your city council meeting or, just whatever interests you, because, a lot of times on the show, you have to be a jack of all trades, but just find, one or two things that interest you, whether it's, city council or police actions or, whatever your deal is, and then just focus on that and, get on YouTube, or you can get a platform like what you have here at the radio show, and that reaches people. It may be a very slow burn, but people start on Access TV and eventually they end up running their own company. So just get in the game at some point. Now, some people would say you have to get into journalism school. That can help to an extent. I think it definitely helps in terms of learning production. But at the same time, if you can find like some internship at a local TV station, if they're willing to take you on, or some apprenticeship and just show you the basics of it, I think that would help, but it's not necessary in today's market, because we do have equipment to shoot live, but a lot of times we just shoot live on iPhones when we're out in the field. You can do that kind of stuff now. So whether it's Ustream or Skype or YouTube or whatever, there's a platform for it, for information.
Right. Because I remember when I was first getting into it and everything, video and all of that, doing zines. I just remember I was doing it mainly by myself, and a lot of people out there, around the world and in this country, they feel alone. They feel like, because they're surrounded by a lot of people that, they think they're crazy. They don't put much time into politics. I mean, because politics is boring anyway. I mean, let's be real. I mean, it really is boring, and I wouldn't do it, if it wasn't for the way things are. But a lot of people out there, they want to do more. They want to learn video. They want to learn video editing. They want to write. They want to contribute in some way, but they're not very inspired by the people that are around them, because, they don't have really that many people to talk to. I mean, the internet's helped out a lot. I mean, the whole thing with the internet and the social, gatherings on, even watching videos or speeches together in little groups, and all of that's really helped out a lot of people. There's still people out there though that have a hard time finding things, and they just want to contribute, want to do things. What about you, Scotty? I mean, what would you advise people out there to do? I mean, who are wanting to get into it, because I mean, this is your first radio show. You're a newbie and you're getting it going, and you're a prime example of like this here. You wanted to do it. You hung out and we did the Woo Crew on Fridays, and then now you're on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. I've just got to go back to what Jakari said. Just, jump in, you're not going to really do anything if you just sit around and not do, not get involved, just jump in, start doing whatever you can, find something that, you're good at that you can apply to it, like, yeah, I did a lot of, graphic work and made a lot of memes and stuff. And that's kind of how I started. And then, I eventually, get invited onto the radio, and, here we are now. So yeah, you just gotta take the step first. If you're really that, driven to, do something, you just got to do it, basically.
What about you, Rupert? Because how long have you been doing the videos and stuff?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let's see, about 5 years I've been fronting pieces, like talking to a camera. But again, to go back to, like, Jakari is exactly right. What you should do is once, and we were talking about this before, Kenneth, you get to a point where you have amassed so much information and it starts to interconnect into itself. And you eventually find yourself being able to talk ad nauseum about all of these different things and how they interrelate to each other. At that point, you specialize. That's what I call it. Jakari said pick one or two things, and he's exactly right. Find what jives with you the best. If it's an issue like 9/11, or if it's a current issue, pick one and stick to it and keep chipping away at it. Eventually you get picked up by the people that you're supposed to address, and be consistent. We were talking about YouTube comments a minute ago. They can be brutal, so roll with it. I actually met
don't hang your hat on YouTube comments. And I tell people, if you go to the internet looking for redemption or acceptance, you're looking in the wrong place.
I saw a video where Waka Flocka Flame was talking about the benefit of negative YouTube comments, and it was funny because a couple of days later I actually met him and had a chance to ask him about that, and he just shook his head and laughed. He was like, yeah, how else are you going to know how to get better?
Exactly. I would say about 50% of my videos on my YouTube channel were inspired by haters, trolls, especially like on the Obama deception. They've had people there for the last 7 years on that comment thread, just going every single day, 7 days a week, just on there arguing back and forth. And I go over there every once in a while and just sit there and read the comments and watch them go at it. And it'll inspire me, actually, because I've been in YouTube since 2005. So I got used to all the haters and the trolls. It doesn't really bother me. And for people out there that I know are starting out to do things, and people are going to be harsh, people are going to be cruel, don't pay any attention to that stuff. Let it drive you. Let it inspire you to do something. Prove them wrong.
If you catch a hater, then you know that, like, that one time you put up a video and somebody, you're like, whoa, what did this person's really just touched by this, apparently. That one time that you get the hater, that's when you know you're legit.
Yep, exactly. That's why
you'll eventually get trolls that follow you around. I mean, I don't pay too much attention to them, but they're there.
Yeah, I did a video on YouTube back in the day. It was entitled Haters. And it gave you the 3 levels of haters, like the newbie hater and all the things that they would do. Then you had the journeyman hater, and then you had the kingpin hater. And these cats that would hack your computer, they become your best friend. They put a lot of time trying to infiltrate just to mess with you. And that time, yeah, exactly. You know you're doing the right thing when you get people like that. But I'm going to go ahead because with time constraints and everything, I wanted to get into some things that are going on around the world. I mean, we got the entire Middle East, destabilized, at war, on the brink of war, opposing superpowers with vested interests facing off, got nukes, chemical and biological weapons hanging over the entire region. and knowing how the kingpin terrorists operate, Jakari, do you see a peaceful resolution even being possible, or does it seem that, it's past the point of no return?
I would definitely like to see one. How feasible that is, I don't know. That involves a whole lot of people that are far beyond me and various interests and things people would like to see happen. I know our current administration has been trying to get a deep foothold in that region for a while now. I mean, it's nothing specific to this administration, but it's being continued with this administration. So, and then, have other foreign hostilities. So I honestly can't answer that for you, Ken.
I mean, we've seen the declassified government documents, from the times during the Cold War. I mean, we came very close to a nuclear war, and we're in another tense environment with Russia and Syria. I mean, one wrong move, one wrong mistake, one false flag. I mean, there's so many elements involved in it. I mean, we could be looking at war like nothing the world's ever seen before. And I know it sounds like it's fear mongering. A lot of people say, you just fear mongering. Ain't nothing ever going to happen. And it's like, if you look at declassified government documents back during the Cold War, there's many a times that we just almost full nuclear war. It almost happened while we were sleeping, didn't even have a clue. And I'm wondering, with all the different countries involved, all of the big kingpin players that are involved, I wonder, how do you see this ending?
Man, I said I don't have an official answer for that. There's a lot of hostility, a lot of ego, a lot of things to be gained or lost, and unfortunately, a lot of that plays, into it. And it's much deeper than just who's right and who's wrong. You got military industrial complex, you got resources at stake, you got strategic territories at stake. So everybody, it's like playing chess with 5 different people. Everybody has what they want to get out of it, but who's gonna fire first? I really couldn't say.
How about you, Rupert? How do you see this ending? Do you see, because the key big players, that's the ones that I really worry about the most, is just the missile, somebody trigger happy, somebody nervous, shoots down a plane, use chemical weapons or a false flag, by ISIS or ISIL or whatever they're calling themselves this week, something like that, because there's just a lot of involvement in that one country. I mean, I thought it was a lot in Iraq, but Syria is just a lot of key players are in there. A lot of small agitators are in there, and it's just like it's never going to end in a good way, it seems to me. What do you think?
Honestly, sitting here thinking about it and listening to you guys talk about it, it's made me nervous. Like, my hands are clammy now. I think that the best indicator of what's going to happen in the future is typically what's happened in the past, and I feel like we're going to see these influxes of violence in that region and everywhere in the world, probably until there is a large enough natural or man-made disaster to make everybody go, whoa, 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 what are we doing? Because we're talking, war is the manifestation of so many individual realities. If you think about all the individuals that it takes to make a war operate, to appease that many people and make them feel like, okay, I'll put my gun down. It's just like Jakari said, it's like, oh my God, I wish something would happen so that people would go, wait a second, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But I think it's gonna keep going. And studying history, and I've been studying war a lot lately. Right now, and I might be biased, but it does seem to feel a lot like the world did before both world wars.
How about you, Scotty?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking the same thing. I was actually thinking about World War One. That whole thing was just triggered by a guy that was killed in Sarajevo. The Archduke Ferdinand. All it took was one guy getting shot, and it plunged the entire world into war. And when Turkey shot down that Russian jet, I was like, oh boy, here we go. I thought that was going to really kick it off, but cooler heads prevailed, at least at that point. but it's not going to take much. It doesn't take much to, you drag one country in, then, their boys are like, hey, we got your back. And then, it's just a chain reaction. But I don't know. I think that they want to maybe cause a regional conflict, in the Middle East. But I think something like that could, really get out of hand and spread into a much larger sort of conflict. So, yeah, it's a very dicey situation over there.
It seems like it just wanted to destabilize the whole region. I mean, it is a mess from what it was when I traveled through the Middle East in 2003. I mean, it's just totally destabilized. But it's the difference between, like World War I, World War II, we got over 7 billion heads on this planet, a lot more people. The turds that shouldn't be, their end game is the same. They want control. We talk about the New World Order, a lot, and it's New World Order is in a boys club with bumper stickers and t-shirts and nothing like that. It's a abstract concept and many people have had them. Now we have, the Western powers, they have their concept of the New World Order or a New World Order. And then you have Russia. I'm sure Russia's not sitting there thinking they're going to bow down to Western New World Order concept. They have their own. Then you have the Chinese, who are really masterful when it comes to playing on the global chessboard, because they kind of sit back and let Russia and all the Western allies fight and waste money and do all of these things while they just kind of kick back. And in that area, I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, I just can't see any other. I don't have any other theories, I guess you could say, that would turn out good. I can't see any of it turning out good because these turds have just been doing this for a very long time. They want to dominate the world, and there's some big bullies on the block, who are sooner or later they're going to fight, because I don't see them getting along with their mentality that they have. It's just, I don't see them getting along, and I don't see anything happening that's going to stop, sooner or later, that nuclear explosion or that biological weapon or the chemical weapons. I mean, it just seems like it's getting crazier and crazier. And I'm not trying to fear monger, but that's the way I see it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to speculate. There was one thing I was just thinking about. If you think about, if we want to call it the New World Order, if you think about it, a lot of those people, their parents and grandparents were the people who incepted the ideas, and they have now inherited the dumbed down, fluoridated population that they're now basically in charge of getting rid of, which is kind of funny if you think about it. The scientists that came up with the ideas have had children and grandchildren who are now carrying through the ideas. So if you look at their lives and what it is that they probably talk about as a group, their parents and grandparents had world wars and, millions and millions notched on their belts. So they have to be, I think if we're going to speculate about what their mentality is, I think they're probably salivating for another massive culling of the population. I mean, a large war like that. I was just looking up stats again about World War II. I'm not even going to say it. Just go look it up. It is, if you think about how many people that is, I mean, it's in the many millions. So there have to be some of these people who are getting bored with their soft kill weapons, and they're just like, all right, come on, let us shoot.
Well, this brings me to the question, since we're having this conversation, that, okay, say, Jakari, say you were the president today, right now, Rupert, Scotty, y'all are the president and commander-in-chief with all the powers granted to you by the Constitution. What actions would you take concerning the war in Syria?
Well, the issue, with Syria is it's at the risk of becoming another Benghazi, because, I'm not here cheerleading for Assad. I'm not saying he's a good guy and all that. But you look at what happened in Libya, Gaddafi was the boogeyman. We have to go remove boogeyman, and now you have a failed state. It's, a breeding ground for terrorist activity and terrorist training. So what are we going to do? Go remove Assad and then just let ISIS or Al Qaeda or whoever the nearest, biggest, baddest bad guy come in and take over? To me, that's not a very viable strategy. And of course, at least I know these guys are getting Western funding, so there is some incentive in that. But I wouldn't go as far as to say I'd launch an assault in Syria. Yeah, probably the best way to fight ISIS and Al Qaeda is to stop supplying them with weapons, and then they would be a much easier enemy to take out.
Exactly. How about you, Scotty? You're the president now. You president of the United States. What you gonna do?
Well, first of all, you cut off all the weapon shipments to the quote-unquote rebels, because we don't even know who the rebels are. And then, I think Russia's doing a pretty good job of taking ISIS out. I think if they want to do that, then they can do that. Whatever, people are like, oh, you're letting the Russians take over or whatever. You know what? A sovereign nation invited them in to help destroy terrorists. They were invited in by Assad. It's not like they invaded Syria to attack ISIS. They were asked by a sovereign country. So,
now you got
let them do their thing.
You got all the other countries too. There, you got Turkey, you got Saudi Arabia. Everybody's wanting to jump in and invade and talk an invasion and all this. There's so many elements. How do you deal with that? Like, if you definitely stop arming the rebels. That would, come on. I mean, that's just, I couldn't believe when, what was it, McCain went on, was it Memorial Day? He goes in there and meets these cats. I thought that was the biggest slap in the face. He goes in there and we're just arming these cats and then bombing them, arming them, letting them, soaking them fight each other. Who in the world are we fighting? We don't even know who's fighting who over there.
And McCain says that he knows ISIS intimately. Of course he does.
Yeah, the thing about that picture, if you guys recall, that picture was taken, and at first he said he didn't know those guys were terrorists, and then he comes back. I think he was fighting with Rand at the time. Then he said, what you mentioned right there, that I know these guys. Well, first you didn't know them, and now you do know them. So which one is it?
Insane McCain. What about you, Rupert? How would you handle it?
Oh, first of all, I would like to thank everybody for voting for me. That's fantastic. Personally, I was really on Team Jackson. My vote went to Jakari. Like, man, I probably would vote for the dude, right? So the first thing that I first of all, I have a lot of respect for people who can talk about the specific countries, bullet point things that have gone on there recently. I need a refresher on all of that. But if I was able to make sweeping changes to the military and to how we handle things, I would love to see what would happen if we would begin to withdraw from the world militarily, at the same time providing it with almost the same amount of presence, but sort of the opposite thing. Like, I don't know, help with food, water, medicine in places that are having trouble. I mean, if you can fill a C-130 full of things that destroy things, I'm pretty sure we could probably fill a few of them with food and medicine and things like this. And then making sure that we don't cut anybody off, try to undo some of the interconnectivity that has been put on all of us by how we trade with people, and then try to be a world leader in education and try to, but it's kind of hard when you have, I don't know, old mentalities running things in certain regions. So it's very idealistic to try to think like that. But honestly, I don't think any one person knows, but I think the best thing to do would be to stop spending all this money sending people other places to kill other people.
And that's kind of how we get into countries anyway. Slip our toe in is under the guise of providing aid and helping them out, and next thing you know, boots on the ground and stuff like that. So that's sort of a slippery slope. Nation building is kind of a dicey thing. I think we just need to go back to preventing ourselves from becoming involved in entangling alliances. That's a main thing. And, of course, we depend on Saudi Arabia so much for our oil. I think energy independence will help pull us out of that whole thing too.
And look at those cats. They chop people's heads off for weed. I mean, it's the most insane people. I mean, and then they talk about Saddam and Assad and Gaddafi. Gaddafi, there at the end, he was good buddies with everybody, with Obama and everybody. And then they're going to take him out, destabilize it. Took Saddam out, destabilized the whole country. Now they want to take Assad out. It's like, but they ain't got nothing to say about Saudi Arabia. I always thought that was peculiar, because it's like, wow, these people chop more people's heads off than Al Qaeda and ISIS and all of them combined.
Yeah.
They got with that square, chop square even. I mean, it's just insane, the people that we align ourselves with, but yet got to take these other people out. He's a bad guy, and I think Gaddafi's thing was, what was he? He's going to gold standard. I remember reading that.
He was going to a gold standard right before he died.
Because all the articles that I'd come across was how he did a turn around 180 and everything, and he was the good guy, and he was cooperating with the CIA, and he was meeting with Hillary Clinton and Obama, and he was a good guy. And then the next thing you know, boom, they're taking him out. I was like, what happened? What pushed that? Now look at the place, like you said, Jakari. Wow, look at how much it's destabilized that. It's like Iraq. When I went to Iraq, it was the Sunnis and the Shiites, and everybody got along. There was no problem. In any country, I mean, he talked about Saddam killing the Shiites and everything. Oh, Dad, we're getting ready to go to break, and we're going to come in for the last half. I'm Kenneth Webb. This is The Quest for Truth. My co-host, Scott Lopez, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Truth Frequency Radio is your number one source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We are proud to bring you cutting-edge programs like Strange World with Mark Sargent, Jeranism Raw with Jaron and Mizza, Truth Frequency with Chris and Sherry Geo, The Kev Baker Show, X Squared with Brooks Agnew, Freaky Friday with The Woo Crew, Perceptions Talk Radio with Jonathan, The Freedom Link with Joe Joseph, Phoenix Rising Radio, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any computer, mobile device, or from any telephone by dialing 832-225-5308 or call into your favorite show toll-free at 866-37-TRUTH. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media 24 hours a day. Truth Frequency Radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Hey everyone, this is Phoenix of Phoenix Rising Radio, inviting you to listen in every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Time right here on Truth Frequency Radio Network. Join us as we cover a wide range of topics and current events, ranging from the esoteric, economic, earth changes, and geopolitical. We also have interesting and exciting guests. Now is the time to lift your mind higher. Now is the time to rise above. How can you do this? It's easy. Just tune in to Phoenix Rising Radio right here on TFR.
We are submersed in a construct that was designed to break us and keep us broken, but it hasn't. It failed. We still go on because we were designed from an eternal template of infinite creativity and not a synthetic house of cards built on pride and false power. Breaking free from the programs and paradigms that hold us down takes courage, endurance, tenacity, and trust. The reason it is so hard is because to be a free and sovereign being, we have to smash every lie, even if it hurts. It is good to be reminded of how resilient, unbreakable, magnificent and powerful we truly are. And if anything provides a foundation for that, it is the book, Our Universal Journey. Go to ouruniversaljourney.com.au.
Your DIY Health with Jim Ram. Thursdays on Truth Frequency Radio.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
And welcome back to the Quest for Truth. I am your host, Scott Lopez, along with my co-host, Kenneth Webb, a.k.a. ChangeDaChannel. And we are joined by our special guest, Jakari Jackson from Infowars.com. And we were just getting into, what we would do if we were all president.
But you'd have to lie. I mean, that's like rule number one for presidents. Now, check this out. I'm going to play just a little short clip here. It's called Presidential Lies. Check this out.
I'm not a crook. Nobody's trying to take your gun. Yellow cake, yellow cake, yellow cake. You would all better run. I will lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year. No earmarks, no earmarks. You need not fear. Read my lips, no taxes. I do solemnly swear. It's what the American people want. It's what the American people need. I do really care. They use chemical weapons. Those charges are utterly false. I will protect and defend the Constitution. I'm on it. I'm the boss. We were attacked by North Vietnamese in the Gulf of Tonkin today. This will not be another Vietnam. I did not have sexual relations per se. Both privately and publicly, I continue to call for the end of our economic blockade against the Cuban people. See, we did not trade weapons or anything else for hostages, nor will we. There will be no lobbyists in my White House. We won't touch your pension. I repeat now that the United States intends no Cuban military intervention. We don't tout our trophies. Remember the Maine. No one's reading your emails. We were attacked by Spain. I'll be happy to sit and talk with the 9/11 Commission. We'll chat. I can't recall. I just found out you didn't build that. They are massing weapons of mass destruction. The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. And these are just to name a few lies that we have to face. And the madness just goes on and on and on. And with that, I have no doubt. But that's all the time got for the list. I'm ChangeDaChannel and I'm out.
Now, that's a lot of lies.
It was excellent, Ken. I really like that.
And that's the thing. You gotta lie. You gotta lie to be president. I think because I don't think you can be straight with the American people. Not in this day and age. I mean, just imagine if Obama stood up there and actually told the truth. I mean, wow. Imagine the reaction from people. Just, oh, yeah, we took out Gaddafi. We did this. We did that. Those things we won't find, out for a very long time in declassified government documents. Look how long it took us to figure out, the Gulf of Tonkin, to hear the audio tapes from that and all of those kinds of things. I mean, who do you think, Jakari, is going to win the election? I mean, who do you see being the next president?
I'll go by party here. If it came down to a Democrat, I'd probably say Sanders, because I think Hillary, she's got a lot of skeletons in the closet. She's a little iffy. She's, definitely working the shenanigans on the campaign trail, but that may come to an end if they decide to go after her on the emails. I think the emails are kind of like the carrot they're dangling out. It's like, if you can get her on this, you can have her, but don't touch Benghazi or anything else. So that'd be my Democrat. Republican, I'd say either Cruz or Trump. I'm not sure which one they'd pick, but they definitely don't like Trump for the fact that they're going to have a lot of difficulty controlling him. But at the same time, I think he has enough swell in public opinion to pull that off. Personally, if was going to vote with all the players currently on the field, I'd vote John McAfee for Libertarian. But I'm not sure if he could get the votes.
Right. And we were talking about this earlier and during the first segment of the show and figuring it out, because I was thinking about it today, is like what would the White House look like under a Trump presidency or a Hillary Clinton. Like we were talking about Hillary because that's my buddy. Because I wear that shirt, the Hillary for Prison. And I swear these people are going to hit me one of these days because I get the nastiest looks, because I even had friends on Facebook on a video that I put up. They were like, "Man, you're sporting a Hillary shirt. I can't believe you're." I was like, "Did you look at the shirt?
Did you read it?"
Right. It always gets them. And I wore it out the other day and people were just like looking at me all strange. I was like, somebody's going to come up and take a swing. I just know it. But what do you think a Hillary White House would look like, or a Trump White House? Because looking at both of them, like, we know Hillary. We know what she does. She has a long proven track record of the things that she does. But Trump, I just draw a blank. I mean, he's got the campaign promises, of course, of what he's saying. But when he gets in there, what will he do? Who will he surround himself with? And that's the main thing. Like when Obama won in 2008, everybody was like, wait, he hasn't even gotten office yet. Why are you riding him already? You didn't even give him a chance. I'm like, well, because of the people that he appointed to, Exactly. So I'm sitting here trying to think of Trump, but Trump doesn't have a real, besides that element and seeing that element, I can't figure out how Trump presidency would be. Because
of course, the obvious issue is he doesn't really have a political record. So it's very difficult to try to anticipate what the man would do. You're just basically going off the promises that he's made, whether you like those or not. Personally, it's not something that I'm clamoring to see. The Trump White House, is it a possibility? Most definitely. Is it something I want to happen? Not so much.
What about you, Rupert?
The way I read this personally is that if you look at the relationship that's existed between the Clintons and the Trump, he very well could be throwing this for them. We already know what a Hillary Clinton White House looks like because she's been there before. She didn't steal it. I know they think that when people were donating things to the White House that it was to them, and they probably felt connected to that material. It was mostly household goods, and they made, I've heard numbers from $28,000 up to $200,000 worth of things that they took. So they already have kind of a sort of a weird thing going on there. So Jakari's right. Like, we can't really say what Trump would do. We really don't know anything about him. He is a good entertainer, and he has been out in the world for years, amassing friends and having connections with people in politics and entertainment. So America loves to vote for an actor. Ronald Reagan, Schwarzenegger, Al Franken, to name a few, Jesse Ventura. People do love an actor. And I think for all intents and purposes, Obama is an actor and kind of a stand-up comedian as well, which is why you see Hillary cutting up on the campaign trail, because her advisors have told her. That's why you see her barking like a dog, she's trying to be funny. She's doing material out there.
I saw
now
that
she's
video.
peeing in my pool.
That video you did with her barking like a dog.
Right. Yeah. I called it the most inspiring Hillary video ever, and she knew when she did that was going to happen.
Honestly, I thought you were a Hillary support at that time. The way it was set up with the thumbnail, I was like, "Oh no, Rupert, you're not." No.
I have a roast video of her, but to finish out with the campaign, Bernie Sanders kind of seems like a dark horse. He does not seem like the type of guy that people in positions of, authority behind the curtain, so to speak. He doesn't seem like their guy at all. So I'm looking that, to me, it seems like Bernie Sanders is throwing this thing out of whack for them, and Trump Either way, if Trump loses to Hillary, he still wins because he gets to say to her, "Well, there you go."
You think he'll make him? Because I think she's going to win because she crooked as it comes. I'm telling you, scheming, plotting, planning all the time. And I think that she's got her mind made up to win the nomination to run. And I'm wondering if she's going to have him as running for the VP spot.
I don't think he would name a Democrat as his running mate, but I think that
No, I mean Hillary taking the burn as VP.
No, because that's probably would be a good idea, but I think she has too many compromising connections. She owes too many people favors to stick that unkempt old man in there.
Scotty?
I don't know. I think maybe Trump got in to test the waters or whatever, and because of his ego, and his the way he conducts business, and he's there to win it. That once he saw that he actually had a chance, and that they didn't blow him off as a joke or whatever. I think he just decided to go ahead and roll with it, and that he thinks he can actually take it the whole way. I don't think he's in there to, throw it for somebody or anything like that. I think he actually believes that he can pull it off. Now, what does he plan to do once he gets in there? Like we said, nobody knows because he doesn't have a track record or anything that we can look back upon. But I think right now it's pretty much ego driven, and that he actually feels that he can do it, So I think he's in it to win it, basically.
Yeah, I think one thing it definitely shows is where the people are in this country, where they are. They're just tired of the same song and dance, the same old stuff, and I think that's where he gets a lot of pull. And, is he acting, is this all set up for those people to pull them back in, the people who have just given up on the system, the people who would generally vote third party, but they've seen this election after election after election, go to the big spenders, the people who spend the most money and then see what they get. And they're just tired of it. And I think it shows where people are in this country. But I keep thinking like Trump is a plant to make those people have faith in the system again. If only their guy can win, if only their woman can win, things will be better. And then it never gets better. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know. But there's that part of me there because I have to look at all the sides that I can. And I just feel like he's,
Yeah, I can't go as far as to say the guy's a plant. I'm just saying I don't trust him. Is basically the way I look at it. Whether he's a plant or not, I don't know. But I do respect his honesty. But honestly, many of the things he says, I just don't want anything to do with.
I have a weird caveat to this whole thing, and I don't know. When you look at someone like Michael Chertoff or Nancy Pelosi, you look them in the eye, and they look creepy. I'll say this. I was in the music business for a long time. I've been around a lot of very strange people and people who may appear in public under the influence of various substances. I'm telling you, every single woman that I've seen him on stage with, I'd be willing to bet $1 to a donut within the past half hour they have consumed cocaine. Like, I know that look. I know that look. I know what it looks like when I see it, almost like a cop does. And that's something else that either he's going to turn the White House into the Playboy Mansion is what's going to happen. It'll be like having Hugh Hefner as a president.
I don't think Bill Clinton's going to have that. He wants to be the first man. Yeah.
The first man.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, wait a minute. So we're really looking at a sort of like Charlie Sheen-esque Hugh Hefner like White House no matter what, unless Bernie gets in there, and then who knows.
Exactly. And I know, he wants to get back up in that White House. We were talking about that in the first segment. I mean, Bill's like, he was like, when she was running in 2008, I thought about that. I was like, man, Bill will be the first man. He'd go down in history for that also. And then what's he going to do? The first ladies do stuff like they decorate certain rooms and do they have their little jobs that they do. What is Bill going to do? I mean, is he going to do that? Is he going to redecorate or, what in the world is Bill Clinton going to do? Cause that cat's crazy.
Well, I don't know. They're going to have him out there cutting the grass on an Air Force John Deere 1.
Who wouldn't want to see the Bill Clinton as a husband reality show, as just like a stay-at-home riding the lawnmower guy?
They would probably actually do something like that,
I actually cut out of college class when the Monica Lewinsky thing went down. I was 18, 19, and when that was going on the television, I had no idea that I was a politics junkie until I watched myself skipping class, absolutely glued to those proceedings. We need more of that.
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be that will be crazy if she gets in and we have the first husband, the first man.
I just can't stand her, man, and I don't hate people. I don't hate anybody, and I understand how people were raised in environments to where that's the learning theory in psychology, that they just learn to be the way that they are, and that's how they're always gonna be. But she is just evil. She is just evil, and Bill is too. And they just Slick Willie. Remember when he went and got those two girls that were hostage from, I think, was it North Korea or somewhere like that? He comes out, got both of them in his arms. Slick Willie just coming around smiling and always smiling, and people think they're so nice. It's like, it just makes me sick, and her especially, because I just know it, guys. I know it. You ain't going to be able to say anything about her. She's already saying that America's not really ready for a woman president. And I'm like, really? I mean, I never really cared. Man, woman, alien, or what color, green, blue, purple, as long as they try to do a good job. I thought that's where we had reached that point. I mean, I know there's people that are prejudiced or sexist that are out there, but I thought we had reached a point in society where, we didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff anymore. But I was wrong.
Well, it's getting to the point where you can't even really criticize the president. I don't know if you guys recall that story from, I guess it was late last year. Hillary tried to, shut down a comedy club for making fun of her. They had I guess, make fun of Hillary night or whatever it was. And she saw the tape, and she actually gave it more attention by trying to shut it down than she would have if she just let it alone.
Well, that's when
it's stuff like that.
That's when Alex had the Hillary video contest, which I entered. If you guys would go check out, you just type in Rupert roasts Hillary InfoWars or something like that, and it comes up. But I cover them. If you look at the trail of murders behind those two, just the Vince Foster thing alone, I've been afraid of Hillary Clinton since she came on the scene nationally. Just that when I was a teenager and that blew up in the media, and it really seems like she had something to do with that guy. She's always creeped me out. In fact, I was just glad that we were done with Clinton when Bush came in, and I'm still like, even with Obama, I'm like, well, at least I'm not getting creeped out because we have like a murderer in the White House or something like that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, she's something else. The thing I always remember about Hillary, if I had to make like, this is her life, the first scene is going to be her, she's lying about getting shot at, in Bosnia. And I love that scene because they kept playing it during like the old election, but she's talking about how she's getting shot at, and then they run the video right beside it. And like she stops and signs an autograph for a little girl, and they have tea and crumpets and all that stuff. She's like, I was dodging sniper fire. I was like, okay. Then she came out with the excuse that she misspoke.
Always misspoke. spoken. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know how they get away with it. They changed campaign lies, things that politicians would say, you want to keep your doctor, if you want to keep your doctor, you can keep your doctor. All of these things that these politicians said on the campaign trail that they were going to do or part of something that they were going to do, and they lie about it. Then it turned around a couple of years ago where they were saying the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, and all them were talking about, well, those were just campaign promises. I mean, no, it was a straight up lie. How can these people lie? How can Hillary Clinton say, that she didn't, send any classified information through her private email and all of this stuff, and then they found out she did, and she still lies about it and acts like it's no big deal. And it's like, go to jail. Anybody else, any of us, step out of line in any way, and we're gone. And she just gets the get out of jail free card the entire time she's running for a position to run for president of the United States. And at the same time, she broke the law. It's a fact. She broke the law. She lies like all the time. So I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Mr. Webb, I know the answer. Ooh, pick me, Mr. Webb.
Go ahead, Rupert.
The answer is that America has a collective memory of about 2 weeks. And even we're guilty of this, because if you think about that shooting, remember the shooting in California that happened? It seems like a year ago, doesn't it? But it was that was really just a couple of months ago. Like, that literally just happened. But it feels like a long time ago. I guess it's because news moves so fast. And
it's information overload. You got so much new information all the time. Because if you think about, 50 years ago, you basically got, city news or regional news. Now you get so much all the time, and it's just story after story after story after story, and it just collective consciousness, it just gets wiped away.
It's so strange. It's sad too. I mean, we all get. I think we all get that numbness.
Yeah, I mean, and in the end, this is actually what these cats have to say to us.
Good evening. It's time for another message from the new world order
that we have worked for generations to build.
First of all, the new world order. Thank you.
It's 2015.
And people are still divided.
It's 2015.
And that strategy
still works. Can. Believe we can.
Because people are mentally disturbed.
The Walking Dead.
Low-life scum. And
really getting taken for a ride.
Excuse me.
We are very proud.
We have made hate each other
because of racism and
hate each other
because
of religion.
The domination of the world.
Easy.
We are evil. We are the very worst of human nature. And we. Thank you. Good night. And bless the new world order.
And that's my interpretation of the message. It's a message from the elite, where I put the message, I think, from the elite people through the puppets. And that's a lot of times, I think that's the message that they send us. We're too busy fighting amongst each other. We're too busy doing other things. We're too busy hating on each other. And like you said, Rupert, our attention span is like nothing now. And we get bored so easy, that's why a lot of the activist stuff like the Occupy Wall Street, it was just like a flavor for the moment. People, went out there, it was almost like going to a carnival or something. I mean, you had your serious activists out there who, it was a good concept, awesome concept. I liked it. But then it got just infiltrated by, what do you call them? Looky-loos. People wanted to come out and hang out, and all of that stuff. And it changed it around. And then they got bored with it and they went on to, jumped on a bandwagon on to something else. I think that's a lot of problems. Like you said, Jakari, it's information overload. There's so much stuff. I mean, I look at this stuff all the time, been doing it for a long time, and I just can't keep up with it all. It's like people say, did you hear about this? And I'm like, what? Whoa.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yes, and there's so many topics because they're hitting us from so many different areas. Like over 70% of people in America on prescription drugs. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people on pharmaceuticals. You got the vaccinations. You got, They're spraying us in the air. Our food sucks. The air sucks. The water sucks. I mean, who thought that we'd live in a world where we had to drink bottled water? I mean, that just blows my mind just in itself. I mean, it is crazy.
Yeah, it's just falling further down that rabbit hole, and what can be done, I'm not sure, but just do what you can in your little piece of the world.
What do you think, Scotty?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, we're bombarded with so much, like you said. The information overload is crazy, and then whatever's the story of the day, you gotta go and look at what aren't they talking about, So then you gotta go and dig for what's going on that they're trying to distract everybody from, and all that. And yeah, it's just like you said, flavor of the day thing, like Occupy Wall Street. It started out good, and then you just got people going in there because they're like, oh, people are protesting, and people started joining. They didn't even know what they were joining for. They didn't even know what they were protesting, really. They were just there to be there. And then it just, fizzled out. It got, infiltrated, hijacked, and then it just went away, It's pretty crazy.
It's a madhouse, man. It's a madhouse. But that's all the time we got for this week. I want to thank Jakari for coming out tonight and letting us get to know him a little better. Man, I loved your work anyhow, but, from what I learned tonight, man, you're off the hinges. And
I appreciate that, Kenneth.
I want to thank you for what you do. Rupert, it's good hanging with you. First time, hanging out on the show. We'll have to get you back on here, too. And Scotty, I hope you had a good birthday, brother. Had a good birthday.
Oh, yeah. Well, happy birthday to you.
Hey, thanks, man.
Oh, yeah. And next week, we got Susan Lindauer. She's a CIA asset, whistleblower, author, activist. She's going to be on the show. I'm going to pick her brains. We're going to pick her brains also. But anyhow, I am Kenneth Webb, a.k.a. ChangeDaChannel, along with my guest host, Scott Lopez. And we will catch you next week. And we are out.
Warning. Warning. The following message will destroy your paradigm. Proceed with caution. The apocalypse is upon us, brothers and sisters. The great revealing is now. The people have spoken and will no longer be manipulated by snake oil salesmen, masquerading as talk networks and alternative media. The new standard is set. This is the line in the sand. Stand with us to fulfill the mission to raise the consciousness of humanity. Stand against us and be exposed by the light we shine. We are TFR, your 100% listener-supported station, and the last bastion of unadulterated truth. Join the media shift by becoming a TFR supporter today, and send a clear message that the mission will not be jeopardized by corporate greed. Together, we will stand as protection from deception.
Now I'm covered.
Now for the first time, you can be covered. If you've been waiting to be covered in mandates, regulations, and new fees, the time is finally here. So make some coffee.
I'm covered.
Approach life with reckless abandon. Kick your feet up.
I'm covered.
Because you're going to be in the waiting room for quite a while. Healthcare.gov is not responsible for fulfilling any of the expectations, mandates, legal requirements, hopes, or dreams of any users. Results may vary. Consult your Obamacare approved doctor or pharmacist to find out if Obamacare is right for you. Current waiting lists to have your doctor chosen for you are unavailable and will remain so for the foreseeable future. Obamacare may cause wait times, a decline in healthcare quality, money loss, political activism, anger, despair, hopelessness, frustration, European envy, dependence, and nausea. If you discover that your premiums have gone up as a result of Obamacare, please note that the program is working as intended and refrain from complaining. Call your doctor if you experience anxiety for longer than 4 hours. If you wish to opt out of Obamacare for any reason, please start a multi-million-dollar business, join a union, or run for Congress.
Portal to Ascension is